Can you
Hey,
see
buddy.
me? How are
Hey,
you?
I apologize. I don't know what was happening. I was trying to get everything lined up and I
It's all
wasn't
good.
working. So,
It's all
but
good.
there you are.
Yeah,
How we doing?
we're doing great. How
Yeah,
about you?
I'm good. Weather has finally turned. Yeah, I don't know if you guys realize it, but we live in hell for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
You know what hell feels like? It's like you walk out the door and it's like a blow dryer hitting you in the face. It's
Oh
disgusting.
yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not fun. So now the weather finally has turned and it's cool in the mornings. It still gets up in the, 80s, low 90s, right? The next couple of weeks, but it's been gorgeous in the mornings and at night. So life is, the whole summer for 3 months, you figure out where can I live? Where can I move to? And finally that feeling goes away. So
Right now you're in paradise. You're good.
yeah, now we're in paradise for the next 9 months and we're good to go.
I was always amazed that my dad had a house in Palm Springs at Rancho La Quinta,
Yeah. Yeah.
and when they burn out the fairways and how quickly they get them green is amazing what they do with that.
Yeah, it's 3 weeks and it's turnaround time. In fact, our reseeding starts next week. Here, they close the golf course for 3 weeks. And then the only downside to that is that for another 3 weeks, you're cart path only because the grass is kind of coming in and it gets thick and but it's all worth it because
Yeah.
we still get to play. And there are courses in town that we can go play that aren't closed or that already reseeded that don't reseed. So it's not like you go without golf, but
Right.
this whole month is tough because probably more than half the golf courses are closed.
Yeah. The first year when they burn them out, like it's like that's going to take years to come back. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We were
3 weeks, it's done.
we were just out there in June. We went to the Grand Canyon, so
Ah.
we got off the plane and we were like, holy Jesus! So
You got off the plane in Phoenix. You flew into Phoenix.
we flew into Phoenix. We drove up to Flagstaff and then
Yeah.
did the Grand Canyon, and then we ended up in Zion. We went all the way to Utah, but we went for a hike one day, and I went back to get the car and then go get my kids, and I got in and it was 114.
Yeah,
And
but that trip to Flagstaff and Grand Canyon was totally different, wasn't it?
yeah, it was amazing. It
Beautiful
was
up
still
there.
pretty high. It was still hotter than normal, but it was
Right.
amazing. We had a great time.
I
So
bet.
we're doing well, and we're just you know, working through our process, as the saying goes, I guess.
Yeah. So
Um,
tell me what's been happening since our call.
Well, there was a local tournament that I reached out to at a golf course called Whiskey Creek for Folds of Honor for charity for children of falling military and their education. And I called up to see if they needed any volunteers just to kind of get my feet wet. Unfortunately, they don't, but I was able to talk to their events planner, this guy, Scott Winsome, there for about 45 minutes. And he just reiterated a lot of what you have laid out for us and how to get going. So it was nice to just talk to a local guy and kind of see, his number one thing, he's like, it's the bodies, it's the golfers. You get the golfers, everything else kind of falls into place, which is, mirroring
Yeah,
exactly what you're
But
saying.
there's a lot to getting the golfers because that's not an easy feat because
Right.
that's
Right.
the one thing that everyone suffers with because the average tournament's only half sold out. So
Right. Like he said, a buyout for, if he got 100 golfers, he would close his course, things like that. So,
right. Yeah.
And I obviously left the door open to, I said, if you don't mind me contacting you in the future, and just, it was a nice contact to have on my first try.
And that's a great foot in the door and a great step. And that's one that you're going to learn as you go and make a lot of progress. Because I'll be honest with you, I'll say right up front, if you get a half a dozen golf courses as your partners, you don't have to do anything else as far as marketing and promotion because you'll have all your clients right there. But that's a whole nother step. So
he said that this particular event, I guess the golf course is owned by a corporation that works with this charity. So they kept it all in house. It's not really a third party coming in. Does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds like a bunch of arrogant BS because they're all going to say that. See, and this is a whole session that we're going to cover down the road, but golf courses think that they help their customers,
Mhm.
but in reality, they don't. So
Okay.
they say they keep it in house, but they only and we're going to get into it, but they only focus on the day of the operations. They don't help their customer throughout the process.
Right.
And that's what you do. They don't help them get golfers. They don't help them get sponsors, and they think they do, but they don't. And that's
Mhm.
the one of the biggest challenges you're going to have is golf courses are arrogant and pompous, and they think they know it all, and they know nothing when it comes to charity events.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So
So maybe a next logical step is to try to get a hold of the Folds of Honor charity specifically, and not go, the phone numbers on the website were just to the golf course. So I'd have to
well,
kind of do it.
again, guys, I have a whole process on how to do this, and
Yeah.
I don't want to jump the gun because I want you to have the foundation first.
Fair enough. Fair
But
enough.
I'm going to tell you, I mean, again, the golf courses are worth working with, but you just have to put it in a different format. You have to, in a different presentation, which I'll share with you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We're still debating a name. We
Okay.
want something that's flexible, not like so golf-ish, I guess, maybe the right
Right.
way to say it, but not like, and so we're working on that. We'll keep you updated as want something classy, but not too classy.
All right. Well, we're going to also talk. We're also going to talk about that here in a second. So,
Okay.
did you guys get my notes that I sent over?
I did.
All right. Did you? Let me see if I can share this for fun. I'm kind of new at this Zoom. Can you see my notes or no?
I can see your training session 1.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you see the notes.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right. First of all, what I want to do in this session, normally what we do in the beginning is get to know each other, but I think we've already done that. And keep in mind that this call is being recorded so that you guys will be able to utilize this if you want to go back and view it and take notes and review stuff. So keep that in mind. But what I wanted to do is kind of start from the beginning so that you had a handle on, number one, who the GTAA is and who's here to back you up. And then number two, I want you to understand exactly all the benefits that you guys can take advantage of, because I can tell you that I have to keep reminding our consultants, guys, this is what we do for you. Take advantage of it. It's included. And some do and some don't. So, but I wanted to give you a little history so that when you go out and talk to people, you have confidence on who the GTA is and who's backing you up. So first of all, our mission is simply to reach and teach the golf tournament industry. Now, that comes in many, many forms, but we've kind of formulated into one simple mission statement, which is what I'm going to encourage you guys to do, is come up with a mission statement, which we'll talk about. Our main people that we serve or that we work with, and again, you guys know a lot of this, but mainly tournament planners, which include charities, associations, civic groups, chambers. We're going to get into that a little bit more. Golf courses, which you're going to learn how to work with them. Obviously, we work with consultants like you, and then suppliers and vendors. We help them promote their business. But we have a whole array of services and programs that I want you to be aware of. Not that we need to go in depth in any one of these, but these are all the things that we do on our end. So obviously we have the website, we have a blog. If you ever get a chance, there's tons of articles on there. We have the golf tournament channel on YouTube. We send out a weekly newsletter called Tournament Tips for tournament planners. We send out a weekly newsletter to golf courses called Tournament Business. We do conference calls nationwide. Now there are more Zoom calls. We have premium membership. We have preferred vendors, preferred golf courses, certified planners, certified consultants, certified golf courses. We do seminars. We used to do a ton of them before in person, kind of held off because of COVID, but we will start doing them again. We got one in November and then hopefully more next year. I speak at many conferences nationwide. We do consulting, we do event planning, we have educational materials. We do a consultants meeting in Florida, in Orlando. We have these quarterly phone calls, which is tomorrow, and then we do the training and consulting. So those are the things that we do on a regular basis. We have a ton of educational materials, which you guys are going to get all of this. the how-to book, which you've already gotten, the games and contest book. We have tons of videos, which you've been watching. We have a night golf tournament manual. We have a golf-a-thon manual. We have a VIP day seminar manual, how to do a VIP day. We have the consultant's manual, which you have received. We have a 100-step checklist, planning guide, tournament diagnostic. And all these tools are available to you. So if I fail or forget to send them to you, let me know. I'm going to be sending you a package, which I'll need your physical address if I don't already have it. I'm going to send you some of the hardback copies. We have certified programs for golf tournament planners, golf consultants, which you are in, and then also a tournament certified program for golf courses. Been in business for 30 years. We have national credibility. We have a relationship with the PGA, which simply means that when not only do I speak at the PGA show, but when golf pros attend our meetings, which we're going to get into later, they get MSR credits or ongoing educational credits, which is very valuable to PGA guys, which is important to know. We used to be top searches on the internet. That's, lately we've been losing our spot, but we're working hard to get back at the top. We have 50,000 members. We get at least 3,000 new members a year, 25 consultants, preferred vendors. We have 2,500 vendors in our database. We have 100 consultants in our database. I've done over 400 seminars, and we have relationship with the PGA, the National Golf Course Owners Association, AFP, American Fundraising Professionals, ASAE, American Society of Association Executives, and MPI, Meeting Planners International, which again, we're going to talk more about. So basically, that's who we are. That's what we do. That's our foundation, and that's your foundation now. That's what you have to pull from. That's what, the resources that you have available to you. As far as what we do for you, what are the benefits for you being a part of our team? One, we're going to be sending you leads on a regular basis. So now these are not going to be hot leads that say, hey, I need a consultant right now, because most people don't even realize that they need a consultant. But they're going to be tournaments in your area that we know of, and our philosophy is everybody needs something. Again, we've been doing this for 30 years, so you've got the credibility of the GTAA. Hopefully, most people have realized who we are and have at least seen our logo. You get to use our logo, the GTAA logo, on any of your website, your brochures. We're also going to send you a certified consultant emblem that you'll be able to use. You're going to be networking with other guys. Not only do we have this call tomorrow, but I'm going to encourage you to reach out to these guys one-on-one, because all of them offer something of value in a different category that and something you may need. Marketing, we're going to promote you. You'll be on the website. We do blast emails once in a while, promoting you to other organizations out there in your area. Obviously, this training, which we're doing now, and ongoing training. This is not just a one-time thing. I'm here for you, throughout the year, whatever it may be. We do quarterly calls to kind of update stuff and learn new stuff. We have all the educational materials that I'd mentioned before. I got to really get rid of DVDs, because we don't have DVDs. Everything's online now. In some cases, we have some buying power. Our vendors give you guys special pricing and special deals, which again, we'll talk about more later. But because we have so many consultants, they get a better deal. Obviously, the certification you'll get once you finish this program. We offer you new revenue streams. So it's not just consulting and event planning, but booking golf courses and educational materials and merchandise and so forth. We're going to get into that detail. MSR credits, which I just mentioned to you. If you decide to do some seminars in your area, the PGA pros will get MSR credits, which I'll tell you about in detail more later. And then the trade show. We used to do a trade show. Don't know what's going to happen next year, but you'll be able to do your own local regional trade shows. We can partner up on trade shows, but we can talk about that to see if there's a need for that. All right, so that's basically who we are and what we do. And my main thing for you to remember is that I'm here to back you up. I now work for you. So whatever you need, whatever advice, whatever objections you're coming over, I'm here to help you with it. Like that's a prime example with a golf course that thinks they don't need you. And I can tell you right now, they do need you. And I'm going to show you a different way to approach them in a minute. So now, what is a golf tournament consultant and an event planner? The simple version is you help others reach their goals and objectives regarding golf outings, period. But that can look and feel many, many different ways. So there's many, many functions that you guys will be able to do. Not that you'll do it all with any one single customer, but there are things that you'll be able to do that they can't do, advice that you can give them that they don't have. And here's some of the ways. So how do you make money? That's really the bottom line, because even though we're here to help and we're here to serve and we're here to help people reach their goals, we still have to generate revenue. So I want to preface it by saying you guys are, no matter what you do and how you make money, you're worth X amount of dollars per hour. And you have to determine that. Now, that's going to be kind of established more as you go along. In the beginning, you may be working for $5 an hour, but down the road, you may be working for $1,000 an hour. But you at least have got to have a number in your head so that as you're working, you're not wasting time. And I'm going to show you how to formulate that. And so, for example, let's say you have a client and you determine in your mind that it's going to take 10 hours of work. Well, you're not going to tell them that you charge $250 an hour. You're going to tell them that you're going to do these things for $2,500 because you know in your mind, number one, it's going to take you 10 hours. And number two, that's how much you charge. You will never say, I'm only putting in 10 hours and I only charge $250, because people don't feel like they're getting their money's worth. They think like that's too much. But when we show them how to make money and they make more money working with us than they would on their own, you're well worth that money and even more. I mean, there are times that I've made a $5,000 in an hour or $1,500 in an hour by simply a few phone calls. And those things will come up. So we'll talk about those. But let's talk about consulting and event planning. Now, they're totally different things. Basically, consulting is showing or teaching others what to do, giving advice. It's not actually doing the work. So you're going to probably do more consulting with charities. And the reason being is the more time you put into a charity, the more you charge, and the more that takes away from their profits. So in the perfect world, you're giving them direction. You're telling them what to do. You're training their staff. You're meeting with them on board meetings. You're doing Zoom training, but you're giving them direction, because the more hours that you put in, the more money you have to charge, and it takes away from them. So when the main objective of a charity is to raise money, then obviously you want to help them raise that money. You don't want to take all the money as a consultant where they don't make any money. So very, very important. And the big question that's going to come up, especially with charities, and we're going to get into this even more later, but charities will say, well, will you help us get golfers and sponsors? And in your mind, the answer is no, because you cannot help get golfers and sponsors for charity events. The reason sponsors and golfers play in charity events is because they have a connection or a relationship with someone in that charity. It's not a good return on investment in most cases. So there needs to be some heartstrings pulled, and you can't do that as an outside consultant. But at the same time, your answer is yes, we can help you get golfers and sponsors. But what that means is you are teaching their volunteers to get the golfers and to get the sponsors. Don't ever make the mistake of saying, yeah, we'll go out and get you a bunch of golfers, because you would, if you have 15 different charities asking you to get golfers, you can't go back to the same golfers every time. But if each charity has a committee of volunteers who are separate, they can go to their friends and get those golfers. They can go to their relationships and get those sponsors. So you teach them how to do that.
Question for
So
you.
go ahead. Yes.
When you used, and I'm sure you'll probably get into it, the language in which you're teaching the consultants to pitch the corporation or whoever to donate or to sign up and play golf, is that spelled out when you're talking about training them? Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Well, what I'm saying is, and again, you gotta have it in your, and you will by the time we're done, the difference between a charity event and a corporate outing or an association's outing. Two different pitches, two different sales. When you're representing a charity outing, you're asking for donations. You're
Right.
asking for big sponsorship, but you can't do that as an outside consultant for a charity. So you're teaching the volunteer committee how to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So consulting, bottom line, is giving direction, giving advice, helping put together proposals and plans. You're very involved, but you can't spend your hours running around looking for golfers and sponsors, because that burns up a lot of time and it's very hard work for a charity event. But you teach them how to do that. But now, on the flip side, when we're talking about event planning, that means you are doing the work. You are doing a lot of the getting of golfers and getting the sponsors, because in a corporate event or an association event, it's more of a business decision versus a heartstrings decision as a charity would be. For example, let's say you're putting on an event for the radio station association, for example. Well, people want to play in that event because it's a networking opportunity for them. They get to meet people in the radio business. It's a business decision for them to participate. Where a charity is more of, hey, I'm going to go play with my buddies in a fun event to raise some money. So it's a whole different sell. So as you are approaching corporations and associations, you will offer your event planning services, which means you do the work, you get the golfers, but you also help them. Don't get me wrong, but you also help them, but you will do some of that. For example, let's say AT&T comes to you and says, we want to do an event for our clients. And here's a list of 100 clients that we want to invite. Now, ideally, they're going to go out and invite them, but you can get involved in that because you're saying to the AT&T clients, hey, AT&T's putting on an event for you, their customer, and we just wanted to just sign you up and get you going. It's a whole different sell than begging someone to participate in an event for a charity, which is probably going to be more expensive. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So event planning, you're doing more of the work. You're getting the golf course. You're getting, the merchandise. You're doing a lot of the work because you're charging for it. And you're going to charge a lot more to plan an event. And there's several ways to charge for that. And we're going to get into charging for clients later on. But I just wanted to make it clear to you. There's two types. There's consulting. There's event planning. Consulting is giving advice. Event planning is doing the work. Now, the other way you make money is selling merchandise, and this can be combined with the event planning and consulting or standalone, because you're going to get better deals on merchandise and services than the client would. So let's say, for example, the guy says, yeah, we need some golf shirts. And your answer is, well, did you have them last year? And they say, yeah, here's a sample. And you say, how much did they pay for that shirt? And they said, well, $25 per shirt with a logo. Perfect. Okay, great. What if I can get you a better quality shirt for less money? Are you interested? Well, the obvious answer is yes. So in that situation, you're going to have a wholesaler that's going to get you that shirt for $15 with a logo. And then you're going to resell it to that client for $20. Well, they just saved $5 a shirt. you just made $5 a shirt. And if they order 100 shirts, you just made $500. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
If they buy hole-in-one insurance, if they buy websites, if they buy signage, all the intangibles, you will have an agreement built in with your service providers, the intangibles, where you get a commission or a kickback or a spiff or whatever you want to call it on the back end. So when they buy the hole-in-one insurance, you're going to get a commission check afterwards. Or you can buy the hole-in-one insurance in advance at a discount and then upsell it to your customer. So those are the four big ways to make money in doing what we do. Although you may want to get involved in booking a golf course, because as you build relationships with golf courses in your area, you're going to be able to build a relationship which gets you, and you're going to approach the golf course and say, hey, we're going to bring customers to you. What is our incentive? And the average is going to be a 10% commission. So let's say that the golf course normally sells their green fees for $95. Well, ideally, you're going to be able to get it for $85 and get a commission. Now, again, that can be negotiated in advance. You may have the customer pay the golf course directly, and then you get a commission on the back end, or you take all the money at one fee, pay the golf course another fee, and you make a commission. You may want to make money selling sponsors. Now, again, very, very difficult for charity events. I don't recommend it. But when you're doing events for an association, again, let's use that radio station association. I don't even know if there's such a group, but there probably is an association for radio stations. So let's say you put on a tournament for them. Well, who is the prime sponsor who wants to radio station owners and staff and DJs? Well, it's going to be record companies. It's going to be, software companies. It's going to be all types of vendors and suppliers who want to reach those. So if you're selling a tournament that's going to be radio people, that's a return on investment sale. So you'd be able to go to a record company and say, hey, listen, we're putting on an event for all the DJs in Maryland, and that's valuable to you. So, you need to pay us $5,000. Boom. You just made, commit. That's an easier sell to sell vendors for a specific group of golfers. And that can be applied to any industry, construction company, banking, schooling, whatever. So that's a way to make money. All the charities are going to ask you to sell sponsors. And I'm telling you, and if you put this in red ink and circle it, it is very, 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 very hard to sell sponsors for charity events. And if you do that, most likely you're going to fail. At minimum, you're going to be frustrated. So don't accept it. But on the flip side, you can accept that commission, but you have to have a committee member with you. For example, I did a golf tournament for, it was called the Rescue Mission here in town. Well, someone on the board happened to, her husband owned a car dealership and knew all the car dealers in Arizona. So I said, let's go together, because she had the relationship. I didn't. So we walked in the door for the car dealership and were able to sell a sponsorship because of her relationship and my negotiation skills. So I don't mind taking a commission on a charity event if there is a foot in the door already. But not for me just to go out blindly and knock on doors and try to sell sponsors for a charity event. Another way you guys can make money, if you choose, is on seminars. I'm going to teach you how to do a seminar, which is what I've been doing for 30 years. And now I fortunately made seminars a living. But the good news about you guys, if you choose to do seminars, number one, you're going to be perceived and looked at as the expert in the industry. Whenever you're a speaker, whenever you're up front, you are looked at as an expert. You may not make $1 on giving the seminar, but you're going to make money on the back end because people are going to come up to you and say, hey, we need your help on this golf tournament. But I'm going to show you how to make money doing seminars if you choose to do that in advance. You also may have the opportunity to be a speaker. There's going to be a lot of conferences in your area, so you may want to be a speaker. Now, I used to do a lot of speaking engagements for free in the beginning because I had to get credibility and get my name known. But now I don't do one for free. They, at minimum, are going to charge or pay my travel expenses at minimum. And depending on who it is and where it is, and is it convenient for me, then I will charge accordingly. But when I used to do seminars, I would make between $2,000 and $4,000 every time I did a seminar. So that's, 3 hours work. That gives you an idea of how I did it. And there was a time where I did 50 seminars a year. So there is going to be that opportunity, but locally, I don't want to paint a pretty picture like you can make that kind of money that often doing seminars locally. That's not there. This is what I did national. All right, educational materials. You actually can make money on educational materials. For example, the book I have called How to Produce a Successful Golf Tournament. Hold on. So this is a book that we've been selling for years. In fact, I've sold over 200,000 copies around the world. But what I also do is a golf course wants to hand this out to their customers. So what I offer the golf course is to put a picture of their golf course right here and their logo. And I will resell this book to a golf course for $15. And they can either give it away or resell it. So that's just a little example. You may come across a golf course that that needs to hand out material to their customers. Well, you can make money doing that if you want to. Referral fees is always a good idea. Networking is key. You guys should make money every time you turn someone over. For example, if you have an attorney in town, and a connection with an attorney, and then you come across a company that needs legal services, whether that's how to get set up as a charity or a 501c3 or set up a corporation, if you send your attorney a lead and they get a client, you should make money on the back end. And that should happen with accountants, with hotels, with everybody you send business to. Do not send business until you have a relationship and a referral fee program built in the back end. Auctions. I have individuals who just make money on auctions, and not just at golf tournaments, but all over. And they have a relationship with the vendors of the auction sports memorabilia company. They bring it in, they put it in the back room, people bid on it, they get a piece of the action. It's that simple. But nowadays, a lot of things are done online, and you can set that up, and I can show you and will show you who to connect with to do auctions. Most golf tournaments have some type of auction, so it's a natural. Travel packages. You may come across a client that says, hey, put a great tournament, thank you so much, but we want to take 20 guys to Las Vegas. We want to take 20 guys to the Bahamas, or whatever the case, and you'll be able to make money doing that. A piece of the airline, a piece of the shuttle buses, a piece of the golf course, a piece of the merchandise, a piece of the airlines. It's all commission based, but you can put a package together. And at minimum, you get to travel around for free and play golf. So those are the ways you make money. I forgot the big one. The big one. And this is, in my mind, the ultimate goal. This is where you want to end up going. And I'll tell you why. And this, owning your own events. Let me tell you why this is a gold mine. Number one, right now, as a golf tournament consultant, you are what I call a 10%er. Okay? You basically help people for 10%. I mean, that's the bottom line. Yes, there's fees involved, and sometimes there's more commissions and whatever. But I mean, the bottom line is the charity gets to keep 90%. The association gets to keep 90%, and you're going to make your 10% with fees and so forth. Okay, so you're a 10%er. But when you own your own events, you are now the 90%er, and the charity becomes the 10%. For example, let's say that you decide to put on a monthly golf tournament for radio personnel. And I keep bringing that up because that's a market that you guys know. But let's say you put on a league or a tournament or something that includes the radio industry, and you end up doing it 6 months out of the year. Well, now you own it. It's your baby. You're responsible for it. So you sell the sponsors, you get the players, and you keep the profits. And then on the back end, you'll give a charity, maybe it's Make-A-Wish or a children's hospital. You'll give them the 10% commission, and you're making 90% because you're offering something that's unique and fun and different, but you own it. And I've done this many, many times. I've done this for realtors. I've had golf tour events for realtors around the country. I've had golf tours for doctors around the country. I've had CEO events for just CEOs around the country. I own them, and I give the charity 10% at the end of the day. So big difference. So you may come up with leagues. You may decide you want to do night golf tournaments, whatever. There's a whole array of events that you could own on your own. And we'll get into that in the future, but you're the 90%er and the charity becomes a 10%. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Now, how do you how do you make money on these deals? And again, I'm going to just kind of do an overview, but you're going to be able to get into them a lot more as specific situations come up. So for consulting, I already mentioned that if you give a client 10 hours of work, you are going to make $250 an hour. That's basically a fee of $2,500 per client. Let's say you have 10 of those throughout the year. That's $25,000 for the year just with 10 clients. Let's say you have 5 event planning clients and you're charging $5,000 a piece. You make $25,000. Let's say you sell merchandise and you make an average of $1,500 per client in merchandise, and you have 10 clients, that's $15,000. Service referrals. Let's say you have 20 clients and you make an average commission of $500, that's $10,000 a year. If you book golf courses, boom, commission there. If you sell some educational materials, speaking commission. So you can see the potential. But bottom line is those top 4 are going to be your biggest revenue sources, and that's what you want to focus on. So obviously you're not going to want to settle with only 10 clients, but that's, you know, a goal, a minimum goal to shoot for. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Now the big question is your company setup. Some things that you're going to have to remember. And again, you guys already have a business, so I don't want to bore you with a lot of the stuff, but we can dig into it if you have any questions or whatever. As I mentioned, you want to have a mission statement. You're going to want to have, what is the purpose? What are you doing? What's your main, you know, function? What do you plan on doing? And again, guys, it's going to change. So don't expect to put something in writing and then have to stick to it the rest of your lives. You're going to massage it. You may start off working with charities, but then end up doing corporate outings or vice versa. But come up with a mission statement that you both are committed to and you stick with, and that's why you know the direction that you and your company's taking. The company setup, you know, there's so many ways to do it. You could be sole proprietors. You could be an LLC. You can be a corporation, any one of those. But I recommend a subchapter S corporation LLC because you want to flow all of your expenses through it. And it's a simple little process, whether you go through Zoom or whether you have an attorney to write it up. You could even do it on your own. Nowadays, everything's on video, everything's online. If you just put in YouTube, how do I set up an LLC? Boom, they'll run it through you. So you don't have to spend much money doing that. You will have to register with the state, register your name once you have it. I'm kind of a tightwad, so I like doing everything myself, although I do have an attorney when things get complicated. I do have a CPA when things get complicated, but for the most part, I try to do everything myself, especially in the beginning. You know, when money's not flowing or cash is not there yet. So I'm on the cheap end. So you want to have a business plan. I'm going to send you an outline of a business plan which I meant, which is, going to be part of your homework, but you'll need a business plan. Who are you? What are you doing? What are your services that you provide? Who are the clients you're going to go after? Who are you promoting? Who are you promoting to? All these things in a business plan. What's your budget? What do you need to spend money on? How's your income? And I'm going to give you an outline to follow that step by step so you guys can put together your own business plan. What are your goals and objectives? And I like to start backwards. If you said, okay, we both want to make $100,000 a year, well, then your goal is to figure out, okay, what's it going to take to get to that? That's going to mean, 20 clients at 10 grand. Does that mean 40 clients at 5 grand? Does that mean 80 clients at 2,500? So there's a combination that you can put together, but put specifically your goals of your company. What do you hope to accomplish in a year? What do you hope to accomplish in a month, 6 months, and so forth? You mentioned the company name. I think in one of those manuals I gave you, if I didn't, I will, a bunch of different examples, right?
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes, we did.
Okay. All right. So basically, my thinking is this. Okay. So when I first started off, my company was called the Champion Group. And the Champion Group was a full service marketing company. So I literally could do and did for many years at all. Not just golf, but conventions and meetings and festivals and you name it, we could do it. And that was under the PR marketing. That was under the Champion Group. But as I got more into golf, that's when I created the Golf Tournament Association. And was able to focus in, and that was a division of the Champion Group. So the reason I bring that up is that you may want to come up with something that doesn't necessarily say golf, but if you guys decide you're really determined to be events, maybe it's the Kevin and David Event Company. Maybe it's the Kevin and David Marketing and PR Company. Whatever you decide.
David and
I'm
Kevin.
older, so I should be first.
D and K and D. Let's see. Here's what I
flip a coin, see who goes first.
well, here's what I recommend.
You think sounds too much like Dick. Right?
You think about the exit strategy. You want to build a brand. So I joke about your name, but it can't be the David and Kevin show because that's hard to sell down the road. So really what you're going to want is to determine a brand that can be, for example, Google. What does Google mean anyways, right?
It means it's a big number. It's like
they do a lot of stuff, right? But no one knows. Google doesn't say we do internet. It's a brand, and that's what you're thinking is build a brand. Well, although at the same time, you want to also describe what you do. So maybe it's and again, you can find it. All those names. There's the on-course experience is one of them. Expert events. So you guys will think of that. You play with that. I do a storyboard and come up with a bunch of examples. And go.
We've had many artists come in with bad names for their bands that we've had to rename.
Well, there you go. So you got some experience.
It's going to go on a T-shirt. It's going to go on a hat. It's going to live with you for the rest of your life. So it better not be something that doesn't hold up over time. Right.
Good. So you've got experience in brainstorming and figuring that out. So I'm sure you'll come up with a cool name. And then obviously banking, you're going to need to set up a business account in your legal business name. Keep it separate from your personal stuff. Definitely you want to accept payments, whether that's credit cards or PayPal or whatever, but all that gets funneled into your bank. Many people ask me, who do you go with? I bank with Chase Bank just because it's big and simple. I also use their merchant services provider, which is called Payment Tech, which is a division of Chase. So all my credit cards run through Payment Tech. But then I also accept, PayPal and, Venmo and Cash App and whatever it takes to collect money, because you never know how they're going to, how they want to pay. But ideally,
you have on here, I'm sorry, you have on here checking and savings account. Do we need both of those, or should we just do a checking account?
Well, it depends. I like both, and I'll tell you why. For me personally, I like, not only do I have a credit line, but I also like a cushion. And I rarely use it, but it's good to know I have a couple grand in a savings account. If anything, somehow goes through my account that I didn't. I'll give you an example. I had a client the other day, and I'm embarrassed, but and I'll give you more details if you want. But they threatened to charge back or dispute the charge, and it was like $1,000. So if they didn't tell me that, and I only had $500 in my checking, and then they went and disputed the card, it would reflect on my checking account, and now I'm $500 upside down. So my savings account protects me from any of that. Plus, it's always good for me just to know I got money in my business savings if ever I need it. If I go over budget or whatever the case may be. So I like to have, and I'm not saying a big, huge savings account, but keep $1,000 or $2,000 in it for emergencies, and then keep a little cushion in a check. It doesn't cost you anything really. If you don't keep it above a certain limit, it may cost you $12 a month or something. But
I got you. Okay.
But then a credit line's always good. So if you need to go out and make a major purchase, which could come up, then that would be a good, backup plan. For example, I think I told you this last time we were on the call. Let's say that you came across, some golf shirts that, they're having a closeout, and you could buy, 1,000 golf shirts at $5 a piece. And it's a screaming deal because you know that you can resell them down the road. Well, you need $5,000. Boom, you got it in the credit line versus spending your own money.
Right.
Because now you get to, pay that credit line back before when you sell the shirts versus using your own cash. Okay. All right.
We had it down to purchasing shirts where you'd purchase it on the first day of the credit card cycle. So you had the 30 days to sell the t-shirts on the road before the bill was due
Right
at the end of the month. So it gave you time. So it was
yeah, and that's a great concept, except when you don't sell enough shirts and they charge you 25% interest.
Yes.
Where a credit line is, depending on your relationship with your bank, is going to be, way lower, 5 to 8%. So it just depends on, but that's worst case scenario, credit cards.
Right.
You want to be thinking about vendors. Okay. You're going to want to have a relationship with every vendor that you could remotely think about in advance, because it's just going to save you time. For example, let's say a guy comes to you and says, hey, I need some signs. Well, you don't want to have to go do your homework on signs after the fact. Right. You want to be able to have 2 or 3 guys already lined up and ready to go.
Sure.
So you're going to want a whole list of vendors, which is going to be part of your homework.
Right.
Regarding staff, okay, really, and I'm not suggesting this right away, but in the beginning, I had an administrative assistant who did paperwork and accounting and all that kind of stuff, marketing. And I also hired a sales guy or 2 at a minimum wage to make phone calls, because I literally didn't have time to call every single charity in town, which was, I think, what you should do. Call every association in town. I mean, look online, pick up a phone book, whatever, and call every one of them. Do you put on a golf tournament, or are you thinking about putting on a golf tournament, or did you used to put on a golf tournament? Now, if in the beginning, if you've got time, you do that. But I saved a lot of time by just hiring a guy to do telemarketing and call somebody for me. So just something to think about down the road when you want to get the ball rolling. Administrative person and salespeople. All right, partners, partners we're going to get into more, but partners are going to be, your golf courses. Partners are going to be hotels. It's going to be other consultants, like guys who don't want to handle certain events. It's going to be meeting planners, where a meeting planner handles the big conference, but they don't want to do the golf tournament. So you're going to be lining up partners throughout the process. Other consultants, like event planners who handle different types of events. Maybe they do weddings, but the wedding wants to put on a golf tournament, a bachelor's golf tournament. Well, it wouldn't hurt for you to partner with wedding planners and be aware of that. National vendors. I want you to have relationships with all the national vendors, and this is why. let's say, for example, Hole-in-One, American Hole-in-One or Hole-in-One International has clients in your backyard. Well, they'd rather you follow up on them than them. They don't mind paying you commission because you're their local, and then you can have that personal relationship with them. And that can be with all types of vendors. So let's say a shirt guy gets a lead in your area. Well, they don't want to have to go call on the face-to-face. They'll send you the sample and pay for the airline ticket and, you know, hotel. So they send you the sample, you will call on them, and then you sell them. So national relationships with national vendors and suppliers is huge. Golf courses we talked about, and then service providers. All right. So that's a whole lot of stuff. Any questions going into what we've talked about so far?
When you have you experienced when someone, you know, that you're consulting uses one of your vendors and they don't pay or they don't follow up, and what responsibility as the consultant do you take on if you give, or the guy isn't, you hope that he's great, but maybe he's not, maybe he messed up that day.
Yeah, well, let's say this. That's why it's important to, number one, have the personal relationship with the vendor in advance. Because let's face it, human nature, people are greedy. And if they think they can make a sale without you and they have no integrity, they will. But if you have that relationship and you're connected, and he knows that if he does that and screws you, he's going to be hurt long term because you're not going to work with him anymore. Right. You don't need a vendor that's not going to honor your relationship. Right. So it's going to happen, and you just can't freak out about it. But you do all the professional things in advance to make sure it doesn't happen, and have those relationships, and have something in writing if you want to go that far. And but most importantly, if you're bringing the guy business, I guarantee he ain't going to screw you.
What about the other way, meaning that the guy fulfills the T-shirt order that you recommended to the people hosting the tournament, and they stiff him?
Well,
they say, well, charity, we don't have any money left.
It barely gets to that. It never gets to that because I'm not even going to let the end user know who my vendor is. I don't let them know who that vendor is. I say, here's the shirt, here's the price. You pay me, I get the shirts. So that doesn't happen in my case. But let's say, for example, you suggest that you tell them that you provide a website and a registration software, and you can just say that generically, but you happen to bring up the name Birdies, which is one of our vendors. But you already have a relationship with Birdies, and they know that you're the guys. And so if that client goes around you and says, hey, do I get a better deal to go around these guys by using your software and registration? If Birdies is halfway smart, they're going to say, no, you have to go through our local rep.
Right.
That's also, I feel like, why would they hire us? You know, it's like they're hiring us to take that burden off.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll give you because you're not doing anything for them. If you are a guy in a market and you don't sell one widget for them, then they're going to go around you, because what do they need you for? So it's that simple. But the smart, more sophisticated companies are more established, and they have integrity and the character, and they get it. They're gonna send you leads if they trust you. But guys, remember something: 90% of the people out there aren't good salespeople. So it's 10% of the people are good and 90% are bad. And this happens all the time, because if you're not doing anything for me, why do I want to depend on you? That makes sense?
Right. Yeah, we get it.
Okay. All right. So real quickly, we won't go through because we've kind of been touching on all these before, but there's all types of events that you're going to want to go after. The charities, the corporations, associations, meeting planners, chambers of commerce, schools, civic groups, tour events. And I'm going to encourage you to have a database with all of them and promote your services to all of them, which we're going to get into next week. But promote yourself to everybody and then be able to serve everybody. But you don't have time to call everyone. You're going to decide, okay, are we going to go after charities this week? Or are we going to go after associations? Or are we going to go after corporate audits? What are we going to spend our time on? All right.
Right.
So your homework this week until we talk, and this is going to be ongoing. So don't feel like you need it all done by next week. But your goal is going to be put together a business plan, put together some goals, put together your mission statement. And then I want you to start building databases. I want you to build a database of every golf course within an hour or two of you. I want you to start a separate database of anybody who puts on a tournament. Start doing internet searches, start asking around, start a database with just tournaments, start a database with just golfers. Now that's going to come more afterwards, but I'm going to explain to you later why that's important. You're going to want to start putting together a list of all the media, especially golf media, golf magazines, golf radio shows, and that's important. We'll talk in depth about that. And then the list of vendors, which I'll send you a lot of them, but you can start to put together your own. So you need 5 different databases that you're going to start working on. You don't have to have them done by next week, but start establishing them, and we're going to add to them every day, every week, every month as we get going.
Okay.
All right. Is that enough homework, or do you want more?
No, it sounds good. Something else that you think you had it?
Do you want to ask about that potential event, or see where you?
Yeah, let Kevin explain the background.
So there's a local charity that I've been involved with over the years, and in multiple ways. And she puts on a tournament, and it's really well run, and it's nearby. And we were just thinking, like, well, gosh, let's just reach out and see if she needs some help. Worst case scenario, we were like, well, maybe we can work gratis as a way to connect with an established event. She runs it. You know, I reached out to her and I said, hey, who runs your event? And she, of course, is like, I do, along with what she does on her day-to-day job. So we were just like, okay. And she reached out to, she was like, I'd be interested in talking to you guys. We wanted to make sure we knew what we could offer, but we are okay with working with her, you know, gratis. Right. The event's already up and running. I've played it in it multiple times. It seems very well, you know, I don't think she's struggling.
Right.
But it was a way, you know, we've started businesses before where we've done things on the cheap to get the credibility of like, hey, look what we're doing. You know, we're connected to a successful event already. So I can put this off a week, or if you want to think about it, if you want to, we don't know if she works with somebody else. We don't know, you know what I mean? We don't want to step on toes.
She hosts the golf tournament.
Well, yeah, we think she might work with Jeff or Steve or.
Who's the other gentleman that you have in this area?
Oh yeah, Jeff Mose, right?
Yeah.
Jeff Mose. Well, it's at that golf course that he is up on the website. So certainly we wouldn't want to infringe or have any issue with that.
Okay, so here's the answer to your question. Okay. The answer is yes. First of all, I would offer as a volunteer for several good reasons. One, you know them, you like them, you want to help them, period. Okay. We're going to give back to the community in some way, shape, or form anyway. In the future, you want to pick these opportunities very selectively. So for example, let's say that the Association of General Contractors wants to put on a golf tournament. Then that's an opportunity for you to help them with their event, be on their committee, because you're going to meet a whole bunch of potential customers to work with down the road. So there is going to be those opportunities. So, but it's a matter of time. How much time do you have? Whether you get paid or not, you get to add that to your resume. Right. So that looks good. Mm-hmm. But the third note is there's a ways to make money. So let's say, for example, you're a volunteer and you've committed to volunteering. You got to be careful with your time. But someone on the committee says, we want shirts, and the vendor that we have is going to charge us $25. Well, you can still say, hey, guess what, guys? I can get those same shirts for $20. In reality, you're getting them for 15, so you're still making money. So you can still be a volunteer, but still provide additional stuff and get paid for it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep. So you'll be able to work these deals and just be very, very selective and careful with your time.
Are we infringing on that other gentleman if we do this and she's at that same Golf
No,
course.
not if you're number one, not if you're a volunteer and making money
Right.
from the deal. It's in fact, it's a great way to meet Jeff and say, Jeff, we're coming on board. In fact, you're going to meet him tomorrow and
Right.
say, Jeff, whatever, Jeff is very selective. He puts on really big events and mainly the events. So there's a ton of events that he sent my way saying these people need help. So, you build that relationship and he'll throw you some business.
All right. We'll have a cup of coffee with Jeff.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, thank you. We'll get working on homework and we'll see you next week.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you taking the time, and then more notes to come, and I'll send you this business plan outline and start working on your homework.
Are we
All right.
set for next week time
We
wise?
do the same time next week, or
Preferably, what is
you want to do later? Because
what does Wednesdays look like for you?
I could do after like 12:30 or before that.
On Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay. Preferably Wednesday. I would rather do Wednesday. Let me just double check my calendar.
I'm available on Wednesday.
Yeah, that would be my choice. Is next Wednesday whenever I'm wide open.
Tell me what time. Tell them what time, Kev.
I would like to do can you do 11 a.m. Eastern or 11? What's an hour? So, because then I play golf in the afternoon. That's my.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
my golf afternoon day with I got a rhubarb. Do you know what a rhubarb is?
The food or the construction
One of the
piece?
guys I play with, he's like, we got a rhubarb. We have a 2-on-2 battle. It's been going on for a couple months now.
And what time is that?
That would be 8 a.m. your time. Are you central? Are you mountain?
Oh, I'm fine with 8 o'clock. I'm just more concerned with rushing. I don't want to rush our time. And so I can do 7 if 7:30 or 8's fine if that gives you enough time.
How about 10:30 then?
Okay,
have
7:30 next Wednesday.
I'm gonna go to the gym.
10:30 is perfect. Okay.
All right.
All right.
You got it. All right, guys. Good stuff. Appreciate your time. Let's do your homework and feel free to email me throughout the week if you want to.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Okay, guys. Talk
Take
later.
care. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.